Guys, if you like Dragon Ball Hakai, today is the best day for you to subscribe to our Patreon. We started publishing about 3 pages a day of the next chapter of Dragon Ball Hakai. In addition, you will also have access to several other stories created by our team, including Dragon Ball Shinken. By collaborating with our Patreon, you help us keep Dragon Ball Hakai alive and have a lot of benefits. Become a member of our community too. The link is in the video description and in the pinned comment. I'm waiting for you there.
Previously on Dragon Ball Shinken, the final battle between the Great Universe and the Evil Angels continues. Seeing the imminent defeat of the Great Universe team, Zamasu and Chamros make the decision to unite, thus combining the power of destruction and creation to generate the new perfect being, the Supreme God called Zeno. And Gogeta, realizing his powerlessness in the face of the demon Vegito, resorts to Kaioken increased 100,000 times. How will these battles end? Find out now. If you are already a fan of Dragon Ball Shinken, comment now #Dragon Ball Shinken so I know that you are a big fan of this story. Also like the video because this really helps its reach here on the platform. By commenting and giving your like, you help Dragon Ball Shinken to continue here on the channel. If you are not subscribed to the channel, subscribe now and turn on notifications to always be notified when the next episodes of Dragon Ball Shinken are published, as well as other videos on the channel. Without further ado, let's get to the episode. Episode 46, The Dawn of Evil, Part 5. Gogeta floats, surrounded by extraordinarily dense and powerful energy. His muscles contract, and his Shinken aura, normally calm and bright, explodes into a scarlet glow. He has just activated Kaioken, amplified 100,000 times, a technique that challenges the limits of any living being. The impact is immediate and devastating. Shockwaves of pure energy erupt from his body, ripping through hell and the cosmos with unimaginable force. Distant planets tremble in their orbits, and stars twinkle unsteadily, as if feeling the overwhelming presence of this incomparable power. Whether in hell or anywhere else in the great universe, sentient beings notice an overwhelming pressure that makes everything vibrate. The universe, in its vast immensity, seems to hold its breath, as if recognizing the imminent threat. The very fabric of reality contorts around Gogeta, distorted by the unimaginable weight of his power. Vegito remains curiously static, staring at his opponent with an attentive gaze, perhaps out of fear, or perhaps just out of curiosity. Almost at the same time as Gogeta's thunderous power resonates throughout hell, so too does the majestic energy of Zeno, the newborn supreme god, resulting from the union of the god of destruction and god of creation, Chamros and Zamasu. The closest to him are Mojito, Margarita, and Kukatail, who previously found themselves at a complete advantage in relation to the god of destruction Chamros, but now find themselves frightened in the face of the supreme being who has just been born. Whis, the angel of destruction, levitates above Champeros. The fallen fusion watches in fear the one who defeated him. Whis was preparing to make his final attack when he felt the power of Gogeta's Kaioken increased 100,000 times, along with Zeno's. At this moment, the evil angel's body was overcome with goosebumps. Also in dread are Weinek and Drom, while Gohan, who is fighting against them, feels his hope being renewed. However, with this hope comes a certain anxiety, especially regarding Gogeta, whom Gohan fears is exerting a greater effort than either he or the universe can bear. Bula, who still suffers from the death of her mother, Bulma, now fears for her father, Vegito, who is about to face a Gogeta 100,000 times more powerful. Android 21, who leads the army of machines in the fight against the servants of the evil angels, closely observes as many of her robots and enemies collapse under the excruciating pressure resulting from the release of Gogeta's power. This fills the android with tension, as the feeling she has is that, from now on, everything is hanging by a thread. Even from the world of the gods, an astronomical distance from Hell, Daishinkan vividly feels Gogeta's power. He understands that this is necessary, given the dangerous opponent he now faces. However, he wonders if Gogeta or the universe will be able to withstand this power. Gogeta sets up his combat stance. He looks at Vegito with a serious and focused look. At that moment, Gogeta has the feeling that every cell in his body is about to explode, working to the utmost limit. He has to do his best to keep his bones from turning to dust, his muscles from tearing, or his internal organs from giving way. Furthermore, the amount of ki he has to contain in his body right now is far more than the great universe could handle, and if he loses control of that power for even a moment, everything will be destroyed. Gogeta has a power that his body can barely contain without collapsing. On the other hand, he needs to contain it, because if he doesn't, the entire universe will end. He's on a tightrope, and he doesn't know how long he can maintain this situation. That's why he avoided using Kaioken combined with Shinken as much as possible. If Kaioken is already a technique that goes beyond the user's limits, evolved by Shinken, it's even worse. But Gogeta didn't use this technique in vain. He already knows how he can beat Vegito and will bet everything he has on this strategy. Finally, the newly born Supreme God Zeno begins to move. His movement is a slow walk towards the trio of angels, who feel their hearts beat faster with each step taken by the absolute divinity. Mojito is the first to decide to act, summoning his staff to launch a magical lasso against Zeno that wraps around his body like a snake does to crush its prey. However, Mojito's magical lasso is broken into small flakes of light when it touches Zeno. Kukatail takes the initiative in a physical attack, imbuing his fist with his angelic energy and striking the enemy with a punch containing all his strength. To his and his evil sibling's surprise, Kukatail's entire attacking arm is destroyed simply by touching Zeno's body. Mojito rushes to help his brother, enveloping his staff with his pulsing angelic power and advancing with a direct blow against Zeno's body. To his helplessness, his staff is also destroyed by the mere touch of the Almighty's body. Seeing that their attacks are useless, Mojito and Kukatail immediately try to move away. Zeno doesn't let them, using only the strength of his mind to completely paralyze the angels' bodies. Using this same force, he brings the evil duo to him without the slightest difficulty, while the two angels scream in despair with every inch they get closer to that superior being. When they are within arm's reach, Zeno reaches out his hands to grab their faces. Then, as Kukatail and Mojito scream desperately, they are wiped out of existence, their bodies disappearing entirely in an explosion of light. Seeing her brothers being eliminated like two insects right before her eyes, Margarita tries to save her life, using her magic staff to open a dimensional portal and escape from there. Zeno, in a snap of his fingers, makes this portal erased from existence. Margarita is about to use her staff to try something else, however. With another snap of the Absolute God's fingers, her magical artifact disappears from her hand. With no escape, she can only beg for her life, bowing before the Almighty, begging for forgiveness. Unfortunately for her, Zeno is resolute, raising his arm and closing his hand. In this simple act of the Supreme Being, Margarita is eliminated from existence without even being touched. After destroying the trio of angels that gave Chamros so much suffering, Zeno raises both his arms and then closes his hands, causing an intense light to radiate from his fists and spread throughout that region of hell. The light, as it passes through the battlefield, destroys the entire army under the command of the evil angels, erasing all evil side fighters in an instant. Android 21, who was fighting these enemies alongside her robots, is surprised when she sees all the opponents disappear in an instant, but she feels both happy and grateful. Then Zeno disappears in the form of a blur of light, only to appear right in front of Whis, between him and Champeros. Whis is frightened by this being's rapid approach. Champeros, on the other hand, is happy, referring to Zeno as Dad. Zeno doesn't respond. On the contrary, he completely ignores Champeros, who now realizes that this is definitely not his father, despite Chamros being one of the parts that compose him. After free of her enemies, Android 21 goes to Bulla, who is still down. The android extends her hand to the Saiyan woman and uses her magical powers to heal and give Bulla some energy. Android 21 clarifies that she can't give Bulla all of her energy back because she would run out, but she gave her enough to do something. Bulla thanks her. In the heart of hell, Gogeta and Vegito fights. The tension in the air is suffocating as the two warriors' colossal energies collide. Gogeta, enveloped in a bright, intense scarlet aura, is using Kaioken increased by 100,000 times. His presence is overwhelming, like an incandescent star about to explode. His every movement causes distortions in the space around. The power of Kaioken pulses through his body, amplifying his strength beyond the limits of the imaginable. Vegito is enveloped in a dense, almost palpable darkness. His eyes shine with an evil light, and his aura is permeated with a demonic power that corrupts everything around him. Hell seems to respond to his presence, as if he were an extension of the darkness that dominates this place. The fight begins with such absurd speed that time itself seems to hesitate. Vegito charges forward, his fists surrounded by black flames, each blow carrying the power of billions of demons. Gogeta is up to the challenge. He dodges and blocks attacks with impressive precision, reacting in fractions of a second. Gogeta counterattacks with a ferocious combination of punches and kicks, his movements trillions of times faster than lightning. The power of Kaioken emanates from his blows, leaving trails of red energy in the air. He manages to breach Vegito's defense, sending him crashing into a hellish rock cliff with the force of a punch. The mountain collapses on Vegito, which is obviously not enough to shake the corrupted Saiyan, who emerges from the rocks in the next second. However, Vegito feels something strange happen. A part of the evil aura detaches from his body, which causes him confusion. Gogeta smiles. Vegito is angered by his enemy's confrontational smile and launches a fast expanding sphere of black energy, devouring everything in its path. Gogeta responds with a discharge of pure energy, his red aura glowing brightly as he channels the monstrous power of the Shinken, multiplied by the Kaioken. The two energies collide in a titanic explosion that shakes the foundations of hell, breaking the barriers of reality and creating fissures in the dimension. In the midst of the chaos, Gogeta approaches in the blink of an eye, hitting Vegito with a knee that breaks the demonic aura around him and makes another part of that energy move away from the Saiyan demon. Without giving Vegito time to react, Gogeta grabs him by the arm and throws him hard, sending him crashing through a hill of bones before colliding violently with the ground. As he gets up, Vegito looks at his hands and sees another part of the evil energy leaving him. Seeing the confusion in the mind of his companion lost in darkness, Gogeta explains to him that at this moment, Vegito is suffering the effects of a technique called forced spirit fission. I think you don't know this technique because the Vegeta in this reality hasn't learned it. In my reality, Vegeta learned this technique to defeat an enemy called Moro, who had the inconvenient ability to absorb energy. This technique has excellent uses, such as removing energy from someone's body that does not belong to them, or even undoing fusions. Because of the strange laws that govern this reality, which are different from the laws of my original reality, fusions cannot be undone here. Therefore, this ability does not work against beings from this reality. In other words, I never had the capacity to separate the Goku and Vegeta that compose you, for example. However, in my fight against Fricolo, I realized that I could use this ability, I just didn't want to do it, so that the fight wouldn't become boring. So I cannot undo fusions of beings from this reality, but I can use forced spirit fission on beings from other realities. What does this have to do with me, you might be thinking? Well, I noticed that despite being found in one of the parallel dimensions of this reality, the evil seed does not originate from this reality. This means I can't separate Goku and Vegeta and undo your fusion, Vegito, but I can separate the evil seed energy from you. However, you were too strong for my technique to penetrate inside you and expel this malevolent energy. That's why I needed to resort to Kaioken to increase my capabilities and make my technique have an effect on you. Despite everything, the power of evil continues to pulse in Vegito's body, who, driven by anger, targets Gogeta to resume the exchange of blows. As soon as they cross their fists again, Gogeta's advantage becomes clear once more, continuing to pressure the corrupted warrior with Kaioken raised to absurd levels. Even so, Vegito doesn't stop attacking. He is a corrupted force of nature, and his sadism is fueled by this hellish environment. It's useless, says Gogeta. The more blows you exchange with me, the more your body will empty of this evil power. I couldn't save Daishinkan because the source of evil power he keeps in his body is too powerful and couldn't be expelled without causing a big problem. Nor could I risk freeing the leader of the evil angels without a method to defeat him. However, I can free you from this evil that consumes you, my friend. Get rid of this energy that corrupts you and join me so we can save the universe. With the excruciating pain that takes over his body, gaining more and more intensity and reaching its peak, Gogeta realizes that he needs, once and for all, to launch his final attack. Every second that passes is an imminent risk for the destruction of the entire great universe. He prepares his final blow and aims at the central point where the evil energy accumulates in Vegito. Now! Gogeta throws his punch, but with a few centimeters left for his blow to land, an aura of energy stops his fist. He knows this energy aura very well. It's red! Not that! Gogeta screams. Soon after, Demon Vegito explodes the power of the Kaioken, the multiplier 200,000 times. And this is where we end this preview, guys. If you enjoyed this episode so far, like the video and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out when the full episode is published. And to show me that you are a true fan who made it to the end, comment Shinken Gogeta versus Demon Vegito. Every time someone comments this, I'll know that a true Dragon Ball Shinken fan commented. A big hug to all of you and see you in the next video.